welcome back to Space Invaders with CraftStudio and how to make it. So in this new episode, what we're going to do is we're going to look at how we're going to fire that laser cannon. As you can see, we're back with the script we've got here, and I've got down here as I made before. I've got a little. Let's grab this, move it down a bit. We need to define our fire button, so we're going to fire a laser. And the first thing I thought was, how on earth am I going to, what am I going to use to fire a laser? Am I going to, make a kind of graphic? Am I going to, in fact, go into my shooter here? And this is one way of doing it, is to actually make an animation coming out of my shooter, which would be cool. So it actually looks like it's firing up, and that would do it. And then we can just use a little bit of maths to kind of figure out. But I thought, no, let's actually make something. So what I did was I created a bullet, and here's our bullet, and it's just a tiny little block, okay, and it's just 5 sort of bits wide, if you like. They're not really pixels, are they? So it's 5 bits wide, nice limey green, kind of computery green, classic green colour. And I did this, so we'll just drag all this in here, which is the last bit. And I've got some sound effects as well. I might as well sort of talk to you about those as well. So let's grab the sound effects and show you these. I downloaded and I found a great program online. Now I'll put the link in below, so do have a look in the description and you'll see the link below, and it's a great place. And I found these 3 sound effects. One's called fire, and it sounds like this. One's called fire 2. Okay, a little the same but a little bit different. And the last one sounds like this. Boo. So it's much more of a boo. Boo boo. This one's a sort of quite acidy one, and this one's a bit softer. So but these one has a trail off, and one stops abruptly. Subtle differences, but what I wanted was, whenever I pressed fire, I wanted that sound effect to happen, but I didn't want it to just repeat the same sound effect. So I thought, well, okay, let's create a randomized sound effect thing. Okay, so I say, first of all, if was the button just pressed fire. Now, if we go down here, so to our home, and we go to our administration cog, we go down to my fire button, and I've put the fire button as spacebar. But of course, you could probably have it as anything you like. You can maybe even have it as the left mouse button. You can have a mouse button there. Spacebar seems to work for me. And so I said, if this spacebar has just been pressed, create a local variable called random with the initial value of random number between 1 and 3. And of course, if you ask a person to choose a number between 1 and 3, they'll say 2, or they'll say 4. They'll say they'll choose a round number. But when you ask a computer to choose a number, it'll say something like 1.374 times, and it'll give you a string, of numbers. So what we have to do is make sure that we get a whole number. So I say set the value of random. So once it's chosen that there, the next thing I say is set the value of random to a round number. So round it up to the value of random. Okay, so now we've got a whole round number, and then I can add some more conditions. So I say if the value of random equals 1, play the value of sound 1. And what I've done for that is I've gone down here and I've set some new variables, and I'm going to put these in on awake. So these call the different sound effects right at the beginning, so I don't have to repeat it later on. So I say set the value of self sound 1 to the sound instance from assets fire 1 of type sound. Now the sound instance comes from, I believe, assets, so it's down here, and it's sound instance from sound there, and the assets come from up here, so you have to put the full path. Now what it means by full path, and I have said this before, but I'll say it again, is if we go to our home, if it's just empty there, that's great. If you've got folders and subfolders, then that really is like, so say you've got a subfolder called sounds, and you put everything in the sounds folder, then you're going to have to say in your assets over here /sounds / the file, and that's how it's going to have to work. But I don't really, my projects aren't that complicated, so let's just leave it nice and simple like that. So that gives us our 3 sounds, okay, and that means that when we press the fire button, we get a random sound coming out every now and then. And also you have to do this as well. You have to say set the value of self sound to loop false. That just will make sure that the sound doesn't keep looping around forever and ever and ever, and just play the once. So I've got those 3 things going, and that's our sound effects. And then right at the bottom, we also are doing something else. We're creating a local variable called fire with the initial value of, and this is the sort of clever bit if you like, we're going to create a new game object named bullet, and it's going to be a child of value of self bullet parent. Now, self bullet parent is this thing over here, so let's drag this one in here. So I've created a new variable called self bullet parent to the object named bullet parent. Now, if you remember from our last episode, in our main game scene, we've got the camera, we've got the background, we've got a player, we've got an invader, we've got a bullet parent, and the bullet parent is literally an empty game object, and it's really just to make sure that I can parent things off it, and when I put them on the scene, this game object is not going to move about. If I were to parent my bullets to my player, if my player was moving about, the bullets would also move about in relation to the player. So I need something that's steady. So when I'm firing, pew, and I move this way, the bullet stays firing along its trajectory that it started on. And I hope that makes sense. If not, comment in below and I'll try and explain it a bit better. So that's why we've got this bullet parent over here, empty game object. So I need to define it. So I'm defining it up here as a variable. So I say, so we're going to create a new game object called bullet, and it's going to be the parent of this. And I'm going to set the global position of this new game object. Oh, let's show you these other things as well before I get going, before I get carried away. We're going to also create 2 new variables. So we're going to set the value of self bullet to the asset bullet of type model. Okay, that is this, that little green cube. So again, we're going to tell the program that we've got this new game object. It's going to be this. It's going to look like that, please. Okay. So I'm going to pop that in here, and we also need to give it a script, and I've written the bullet a special script all of its own. Okay, and I'll show you what that goes on with as well, because we're going to make a new game object, and then we're going to give it a script, and then it's going to do its own thing. Okay, so let's go back to this and just review it. So we're going to create a local variable called fire, capital F, with the initial value of a new game object named bullet, as a child of the self bullet parent, which is that empty game object. We're going to set the global position of fire, okay, to the self position of the X position of the player. Okay, so wherever the player is, that's where it's going to appear. And we're going to also set it on its X position, on its Y position. But we're going to set it a little bit higher, otherwise it would be right in the middle of the game object. So we're going to add 3, so it's a bit higher, and we're going to push it back a little bit as well, so it's minus 27 on the Z. And I kind of fiddled with that a little bit because it was kind of clipping away through things. Okay, so that's where it's going to spawn. It's going to kind of appear, and we're going to set the new component model renderer. Okay, so we're going to add a model renderer to this new game object, because remember, a game object is just an empty thing. So basically we create an empty thing, we put that empty thing somewhere on we fire it out. we make it spawn wherever the self object, the player is, and then we're going to give it a model renderer to display the self bullet. Now remember, the self bullet is a model, okay, that green little block that we've got up here. And then we're going to also create a local variable called bullet behavior. So now we're going to give it a script with the initial value of new behavior, value of bullet script on fire, which is the game object. Okay, and then we can kind of new behavior script there, and on the game object fire, which is the game object that we just made up there. So what that does is, let's find the other script as well. Move bullet is what we're giving into it. So a bullet, when we press fire, we've got 3 sounds that are sort of either appearing, and then about here the game object will appear. It will attach a model renderer to it, so it will appear as a green cube, and then there's a script attached to it, and the script does this. It says on update. I haven't even got an on awake, so just on update, create a local variable called position with the initial value of the global position of the self game object, so wherever it was. First of all, that's where it now knows where it is, and then we're going to move the value of the self game object. We're going to move that thing by a global offset on its y of 0.5 on its y, which is up, and then we're going to say if the value of its position y is more than 20. Destroy the value of the game object. So we're going to destroy that object. So basically, we don't get a collection and completely lag the system with a million bullets at the end of the day. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. So let's press F5 and see that in action. So we're going to pew. So there we go. So that's when we put it all together. So we can move left and right. We're not exiting the game screen. And when we press fire, spacebar, we're creating a new game object. We're attaching a little bit of a script to it, and we're attaching a model renderer to it, and it's firing. Okay, and all this stuff will be included. I'll make a little CraftStudio pack that you'll be able to download from my Dropbox. Okay, so I hope that's inspired you. And in the next episode, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the scripts for our Space Invader, our alien. Okay, and we're going to get this alien to move across the screen. We're going to have a few more aliens. They're going to move across the screen, drop down, move across, and also fire. So we're going to have to deal with health for the player, health for the aliens as well, and then possibly do a scoring system either in that episode or just on its own. It probably deserves its own episode all by itself. So that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed that tutorial. Let's go back to our move player here. So all these will be available for you to have a look at in more detail. So you can kind of have a little, you can copy this stuff and make your own games with it. So thanks very much for listening. Take care now, and goodbye.